Hi everyone, and welcome to part 4 of the Ivy and the Inky Butterfly colour along door to Enchantia. So today we're going to be concentrating on all of these leaves that make up the border of the picture. As you can see, I've got loads and loads of greens out ready to go, and I've also made this quick chart for the different types of leaves in the picture so we know what we're doing, what colours we're using. These aren't the only types of leaves, there are a few more different styles, but what I'm going to do is fill all these in first, and then when we get to the end we can see what colours we can use where. It'll make sense. So for the leaves that look a little bit like lily pads, we've got Peacock Green, light Aqua and white. Then for these sort of sharp knife looking leaves we've got dark green, olive green, lime peel and yellow Chartreuse, and that also applies to this. These leaves are so crude, I'm so sorry Jana, but this sort of spiky leaf. And then we have this one that's peacock green, parrot green, true green and light green. This wavy leaf we've just got chartreuse and lemon yellow. For these tiny little leaves we've got Prussian green and spring green, and for these fan looking leaves I've chosen peacock green, grass green, apple green, chartreuse and a bit of yellow chartreuse as well. Now don't worry about the white gel pens at this stage, the highlights and things, that's going to be in the very last video when we touch up and do our final little details. So these are the colours for these specific leaves. I've got all of them out here because it's just easier than going in and out the pencil case all the time. And yeah, let's get started. So I've had so many messages of support from people. Again, I just can't tell you how much that means to me. I honestly thought that this would be super boring and it'd be the first and last one that I did. So yeah, just really, really pleased with how it's going. And thank you for colouring along with me. So first of all, we're going to go for those lily pad leaves, and we've got our peacock green, our light aqua and our white. Just making sure that they're all sharpened up. So I've also got a few questions from people. Thank you so much for leaving questions, gives me something to talk about in the silent parts. So I'll be answering those in a while. And this is going to be exactly the same as I always do my colour along videos. So I'm going to show you how to do 1 or 2 leaves, and then I'll just start chatting along and you can just colour with me. So we've got our darkest colour for these lily pad leaves. Let me zoom in the camera so you can see what we're doing. And move the book along a little bit. So the majority of these lily pad leaves are at the top of the page, so let's start here in this corner. We'll do these 3 and then I'll think camera check, because you know what I'm like. Right, I'm going to move all my pencils to the top, out of the way, and here we go. So as with the little demo thing that I did first, we're going to do peacock green at the top of these lily pad type leaves. Do we need a little bit more zoom maybe? That should do, I think. So peacock green at the top, and just fade it down like we've learnt to do. So we're going from really hard pressure, gradually getting lighter and lighter until it fades out into the white of the paper. And just do the same on the other side. So when you've got that down, we'll move on to our light aqua. And despite the amazing difference in the light and dark of these colours, they do blend really well together. They just seem to just flow. So don't worry about that. Obviously, if you're using different brands of coloured pencils, it might not work so well. But Prismas are just so buttery that they just seem to blend into whatever you want to do. So at the bottom you might have a little bit of room for the white on these folded over leaves, but if not, that's fine. Just add a touch in there. And then on the folded over part, I always just do the darkest colour, so just take your parrot green and just fill that in as solid. So when we've done that, we're going to try and emulate the inner part of the leaf, which I've done in individual sort of triangles. And how I did that was just to outline the entire inner edge I'm just wondering if I can put a book under this because it might be easier. Ah, that's better. I've got a bit more of a flatter surface now to do this on. So we're outlining the entire inner edge, keeping the outline quite slim because we don't have a lot to work with in these little triangles. And when you've done the outer edge, we're then going to follow all of these lines and do those as well. So each triangle's sort of got a border around it. Make sure you keep those pencils sharp because these are really fiddly little bits. And when you've done all of the individual little triangles, we're going to get our light aqua, go into those individual triangles and just do again another border, but leaving some white space in the middle. So try to go over the very edge, the inner edge of that dark green that we just did, just to try and blend it into the light aqua a little bit, so it's not such a harsh line. If you've got any little tiny areas, just put the light aqua in all of it. Don't have to worry too much about leaving white there. So just looking at the pattern that I did here, but this is a little bit more of a wider lily pad leaf. This is quite a narrow one, so let's just keep touching up with the light aqua until it looks right. So if you want to, you can go in with your white and just brighten and blend those bits of white that we've left. And that looks pretty good to me. So basically we're just leaving highlights with the white, and that's one of the most effective things that you can do in adult colouring, is actually leave white space, because it just makes all the colours seem to be brighter rather than, you know, if I filled all that in with aqua, it just wouldn't pop off the page like it does when you leave white. But we're also going to be brightening that up with the white gel pen at the end as well. So that's pretty much how you do the lily pad type leaves. You can go in and just shade a little bit more of the darkest colour down on the edges if you want to. But that, for the most part, is how to do it. So we're going to carry on doing all of our lily leaves. We'll do all of the same leaf all at the same time so we can get those colours out of the way and move on to the next type of leaf. So as I'm now colouring all of these in, I've shown you how to do it and we'll just have a chat. So I've had quite a few different questions from people, as I mentioned, on the YouTube channel, on the comments. I really appreciate you sending those questions in. Please continue to do so because it does give me something to talk about. So the first question that I got asked was by Kiwi Mum ×3. And she or he asked, I'm guessing she because it says mum, while you're chatting, can you tell us about the significance of your wrist tattoos, because they look really cool? Well, my wrist tattoos are my children's names and dates of birth. So it's upside down. So we've got Max and we've got Shane. So they're my wrist tattoos. And on my left hand, I've also got a J for my husband. And on the top of my wrist, this is upside down, it's so awkward. It's a sister's tattoo. I was born in 88, my sister was born in 93, and she's got the other half of this swing. So she's also got a little girl sitting on a swing, and they match up when we put our wrists together. So that's how that works. I might as well tell you about my others, but we are zoomed in, so it's really awkward. This is for my Nana. It says, because she's Italian, it's all written in Italian, and it says Nonna, and there's a little purple daisy because that's her favourite colour and a favourite flower. Can't really twist this enough to show you, but it does say Nana is one who holds our hands for a little while and our hearts forever, because my favourite person in the entire world was my Nana. I actually got the tattoo done a few years before she died, because, you know, we had that much of a special relationship. She was the next person that I got inked after I had my children inked. And unfortunately she died 3 years ago, and it absolutely broke my heart, and it still does every single day. She was pretty much my soulmate, very, very, very close to her, and we had a brilliant relationship, and then she was just the best person ever. So I miss her every single day, and that tattoo just reminds me that since I was a little girl, she was just my hero. So that's that tattoo. Now on the other arm, again, you can't really see it, but I did a quote from a children's book called, I think it's called, what's it called? Is it, oh, The Giving Tree, that's it. And it says, she loved her little boys very much, more than her own life. And it's a bit of a, I changed the quote a little bit, but it's very similar to the one in The Giving Tree about loving the child more than your own life, because obviously I do love my kids more than my own life. So also on my shoulder, can't see it, but I do have a tattoo of a rose, a red rose. And on my arm, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'll give it a go. So on my, where are we, inner arm, I have like a wreath of flowers, and then it says be kind to yourself, because obviously I suffer with anxiety quite a lot, depression, so I'm always putting myself down, and that's just to remind me to be kinder to me. I think that's all the tattoos I've got at the moment. I do want more. I think it's a bit addictive, isn't it, when you have one? I was absolutely cacking myself when I first got these wrist tattoos done, because I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to really, really hurt. And yeah, it did hurt, but obviously I've had more, so yeah, it is addictive. It's a sort of addictive pain as well. It's not like a screaming out pain, it's a bearable pain, just in case you haven't had any tattoos. So, just bringing this light aqua down, fading it into the white. Do a bit more colouring now, I've got all my tattoos out. So this was awesome. The other day I got an inbox from a lady asking me about my accent, and I was quite surprised when she sort of pinpointed whereabouts I live in the country, not obviously the house, but she did say, are you from the Nottingham and Derby border? Which I am. And I was really surprised, because usually as soon as I put that camera on, I just I get this posh voice come out, and I'm trying to sort of do my own normal accent today to try and combat it, because I don't know why. As soon as I press record, I just go a bit posh. So she knew whereabouts I'm from, which I was quite surprised about with that posh bit that I put on, automatically, not on purpose. And through chatting, found out that she actually lives in the next village to me. So we're literally like a mile or something apart from each other, a couple of miles apart, which is just awesome. I've had people contact me before who are from the same sort of county, or, you know, the East Midlands of the UK. But this is the closest person who's ever found me through my colouring videos, and lived so close to me. So that was awesome. And as I say, I am trying to speak in my normal voice. It's really difficult. I don't know why. As soon as I record a video, I go really posh. But yeah, so that was cool. So just filling in the outlines of the little triangles. And going in with the light aqua. So the next question that I got was from Amanda Kay, And she just asked if I could zoom out at the end of every video to show you the completed piece that we've done today, which I will definitely do. Thank you for the feedback. And the next few questions that I received was from the lovely Anne Siggers from A Colourful Life on YouTube. And she has asked, when I first started colouring, what pencil did I start out with? So, wow, that's it's so long ago now, it's really hard to remember. But I think one of the first pencil sets I got was the Staedtler Ergo Soft pencils, and I was amazed at how good they were. I didn't have anything really to compare them to then, apart from sort of student grade or very, very cheap pencils. So I thought that they were absolutely amazing. Obviously, now that I've used artist grade pencils, I can see, you know, the difference. But at the time, I thought they were absolutely fantastic. They still are good pencils, don't get me wrong. They're probably one of the best pencils if you are on a tight budget. And there's nothing wrong with them at all. It's just that, obviously, as you get to use more different materials, you realise the differences in quality, the difference, how they feel and work on the page. So, yeah, I think it was Staedtler Ergo Soft. So the next question from Anne was, do I remember my first adult colouring book? And I think the very first one I got was a tattoo colouring book, funnily enough. Or one of the first anyway. I can't really remember the exact first one that I had. It definitely wasn't any of the China Basford ones. I didn't get them for quite a while actually, for some reason. But yeah, it was a tattoo colouring book. I think it was called like the One and Only Tattoo Colouring Book or something like that. And Anne is also asking, do any of my children like to colour? Yes and no. So they're not into it like I am. But all kids love to colour really, don't they? I mean, you know, it's one of those easy activities that you can just pick up and do anytime. But I would say that my youngest son, Max, is more into crafty and art things than Shane. So Shane's getting on now, getting on, like he's about 80. He's 11, nearly 12, so because he's moved up to big school now, he's in secondary school or high school, he's a little bit less into sort of colouring with mum and, you know, he's got his own stuff to be doing. But Max is super, super into crafting. He watches all of these YouTube videos, how to craft things out of cardboard. For his birthday, we actually took him to a scrap store and he was in his element. He filled up an entire trolley with all sorts of bits and bobs of plastic and cardboard and, you know, material and all sorts of things to create things out of. So you'll always find Max crafting something. It's a constant battle of sweeping the floor with bits of cardboard and paper that he's cut out. So yeah, he's super into that. But as for colouring, no, not really. They don't do a lot of that. The last thing I did with Shane actually, which is colouring related, is gems. He quite likes doing the gemstones and trying to make that 3D cabochon effect. So he enjoyed doing that and he made a few gems of his own. So I think that looks about right now. Looking pretty good so far. I hope that these are easy for you to do, as I try to make everything that I do really simple and easy. So I had another question from Yvonne Davidson on the Facebook page, and she's asking, do I have a favourite set of pencils? So I've got Prismacolors, Polychromos and Holbeins. They're all the full sets that I've got. Actually, I've got Inktense as well, if we're talking big full sets of pencils. And even though Polychromos are incredibly high quality and unmatched in quality, I think, both in the pigments and in the actual pencil production itself, Prismacolors still win out as my absolute favourite pencil, and that's just because of the ease of them, basically. So if I want to work with Polychromos, I know I've got to work a lot harder to get blends than I have with Prismacolors, because they almost blend themselves, these pencils. But with the Polychromos and the harder oil-based leads, even though the colours are beautiful and they look absolutely stunning when you finished a page with them, they are much more effort. So if I'm wanting to do, for example, things like this that have a lot of light, a lot of blends, from dark to light, I will use Prismacolors because it's just easier to mush those dark colours together to light colours, if that makes sense. So yes, I would say that my favourite pencil is the Prismacolor, but I do love all of my pencils for different reasons. The Holbeins I don't use very often because purely I don't want to use them up because they're so expensive and you can't buy them open stock over here. So I don't use those very often, but they do have some lovely colours, and I'll crack those out if I'm sort of bored of using Prismas and Polys all the time. As for the Inktense, I've not had a lot of practice with Inktense, but if there's a colouring page, for instance, if I've got to review a book, and none of the pages in the book really sort of jump out at me to want to colour, if that makes sense, I will go to the water-based pencils or water-soluble pencils like Inktense, and it just makes the colouring a little bit quicker. So if I just put a touch of Inktense here and there, all I have to do is wash over it with a brush, and it's just a lot quicker. So if you are looking for a pencil to use for a bit of quick colouring that still gives that look of sort of gradient from dark to light, then go for Inktense or any water-based pencil, water-soluble pencil really. Inktense are obviously made from ink, not water-based pigment, so they do have a very intense colour, thus the name, and they are, the best working, or the best result pencils that you can mix with water, in my opinion anyway. So I'm rambling now, but yes, I think that might be all of the questions. Yes, I think it is. So we'll just carry on chit-chatting, going through these leaves. So we're on 23 minutes so far, and I've only done 3 leaves. That's really bad. I may have to chop these leaf tutorials into 2 videos, but I'll try and get a bit quicker now and stop waffling so much. So I don't know whether you've seen the latest video that I've put out, but I have reviewed some adult colouring clothing and apparel, which I'm also doing a giveaway for. So it's a worldwide giveaway, so wherever you are, you can enter. I know I've got a lot of watchers from the US, so that's fine. If you live there, you can enter, because Shirtbox, who make the clothes, do ship worldwide. So the giveaway is for 3 different people to win an item of their choice from their Doodler range, which is the adult colourable clothing. So do check out the last video that I put out yesterday and enter the giveaway, and good luck. Might be nice to colour something a little bit different than paper, and they are made for adults as well. They're only in adult sizes, so lovely intricate drawings and illustrations on the clothing itself. So again, we're leaving that white in the middle, and I'm just going to buff it out a little bit with our white pencil. See how quick I can do one of these when I'm not rambling. This is why the videos take so long. But luckily everybody I've spoke to says that they don't mind and they actually prefer longer videos, so that's good. I am really conscious now about how my voice sounds because I'm really trying not to sound so posh. I don't know why that happens. Just as soon as it's like your telephone voice, isn't it? When you get a phone call, hello, you know. Whereas normally I'd be like, hey up, which is the sort of Nottingham accent. Hey up. I'd love to know where you're all from in the world, and if you've got any sort of quirky dialects or local sort of speech or words that you use. There's so many in the Nottingham dialect I couldn't even begin. But the greeting in Nottingham is "Ay up me duck," which sounds really sort of farmerish and countrified. But basically, me duck or duck is a nice little word that you just call anybody. You're right, duck. And "ay up" is just hi. So what I've been doing over the last couple of days since the last video, the last colour along, is I'm doing a video of what was the first or one of the first colouring pages I completed when I first started colouring, and I'm going to colour it all over again to compare the two to see how my skills have changed, and yeah, it's just a fun little video really. I hope that's something that you'll want to see. So I'm in the process of filming that at the moment, and so far it's going really well. Obviously when you first start colouring you literally are just filling in, unless you are like you have previous like artistic experience or whatever. Usually when you first start colouring you're just filling in the blanks, which is fine. Even if you still do that, I still do that sometimes, especially when I'm having a sort of panicky or anxious day. That's the first thing that I'll go to. Something like this would be just too complicated for me, and it tipped me over the edge. So what I normally do is I've got a big mandala book, and it's on a big format, they're really big mandalas, and I'll just get any sort of felt tips out. I won't do it with pencils because again pencils need more effort. I'll just do it with regular pens and just fill in the blanks, and I'm not thinking about what colours I'm using, I'm not thinking about having to blend anything, I'm literally filling in the white squares, and that calms me down. So if you do suffer with anxiety as well, and you find that colouring just doesn't work for you when you're anxious, try colouring something that it has no bearing on life. So it's not a nature scene. You don't have to think the trees have to be green and you know the flowers have to be this colour and blah blah blah. Just get yourself something that's quite abstract and just colour it in. That's what I do. But at all other times I can't stand doing mandalas and you know, abstract things. So it's funny, isn't it, how certain things work for certain different emotions and feelings. So I also put a post out on Facebook the other day about being banned yet again. I wasn't back on for a whole day, I don't think, before I got banned again on Facebook from the groups. So what I've decided to do now, I'm not sure if I've even told you this on the last video, but what I've decided to do now is I'm not going to be sharing to any Facebook groups, which is a real shame because that's one of the biggest ways that I reach more people in the adult colouring community. And you know, that's what it's all about really, is finding new people to enjoy the content that I'm putting out there. And you know, obviously bump all my follow accounts, which is great for me because people like publishers and artists, they don't just send a book for review to anybody. You have to have like a following behind you. and you know, all the numbers and things. So not being able to share on the Facebook groups where new colourists might join is really, really crap, to be honest. So what I've done is I've put a post on my page just saying, if you've got a spare minute, please come and follow me on my other channels, because I've got around about 15,000 followers on Facebook, and I've heard lately that people are being chucked off Facebook, like literally banned for good, pages gone, and everything. And I don't know why that's happening. There's a bit of a conspiracy about it lately, that Facebook and Twitter are just seemingly banning people for no reason. So if you have a spare minute, please do follow me on my other channels. They've only got a few thousand, I say only, but I'm not being ungrateful, but it's a lot less than my Facebook page. So that's my Instagram, my Pinterest, my Twitter, and of course on here on YouTube as well. So all the links are always in the descriptions of these videos for you to find me everywhere on the internet. So if you do have a minute, please go and follow me on there if you haven't already. And of course subscribe to my channel. I am trying to concentrate on videos more and think about the content that I'm putting out rather than just review after review after review. I've still got books to review, I'm still going to continue doing that, but I do want to, sorry, just checking the camera. Yeah, but I do want to concentrate a bit more on helpful content for YouTube, for colourers. So I'm thinking about doing more tutorial based videos. So I know that this is a colour along, but when I say tutorial, I mean sort of showing you just one or two different ways to colour per video. So for instance, I was thinking about doing a series of colouring basics. So things that you just learn when you very first start, but they are the foundations of colouring. So things like basic blending, your 3-colour blending, you know, light sources, use how to shade things that are next to objects where you would get natural shade or natural shadows falling onto that object, things like that. How to do your highlights, where to put highlights, just anything really. I'd love suggestions as well if there's anything sort of really basic that you want to learn, basic skin tone, basic hair, you know, things like that. So do let me know in the comments if you've got any suggestions for that series, or in fact if that is something you do want to see. If not, if you think there's too many sort of basics videos out there or colouring videos, let me know as well, because if it's not something you want to see, then I'm not going to bother. I want to put out content that is useful to people. And also, if there is anything else you'd like me to make videos of or about that's colouring related, let me know as well. Always open to new ideas. So, as I've said before on all of these colour alongs, you can just keep touching up until it's right for you and you're happy with what you've done. I'm doing this quite quickly because I don't want to take too much time up, so it's not going to look as smooth or as lovely as yours is. But that brings me on to everybody who has come onto my Facebook page or tagged me on Instagram showing me the absolutely beautiful pages that you've been colouring along so far. Every single one of them looks amazing. Honestly, you've all done a fantastic job, and I'm just super proud to be hosting this and to be giving people you know, a little bit of company while you colour and a few tips as well. Every single time I'm about to make one of these colour along instalments, I always worry that it's going to look rubbish, and I sit there thinking like, right, what colours are going to look best, what's going to pop out to people more, what would people like their finished page to look like, because it's not just my page, we're all doing it together, so I've got a bit of a responsibility to make it look good, but I can only do my best, and I'll continue as I'm doing, and everybody seems to love it, so that's really sort of bolstered my confidence more. I would love to do more colour alongs in future, but I don't think they're going to be a regular thing, and that's purely because they take up so much time, and as you know, I've got 2 children, and you know, I've got an awful lot of things to be getting on with, and I've got so many books piling up for review now that I just need to get on with some of them and get those out of the way. So they're not going to be a regular occurrence, but if you have if I get an overwhelming sort of suggestion of a page or a book that people want to colour along, I will do them. For instance, I've had a couple of people ask if I'll do a colour along of one of Jasmine Beckett Griffith's books. You know, those lovely sort of mermaid, not always mermaid, vampire type girls, but they're usually all portraits of girls. And that's scary for me because that is skin tone big time, and hair and things obviously, which I can do, but just as many times as I do it great, I'll mess up. So it is quite scary for me to be sort of leading people on a colour along that involves a lot of skin and hair. But I have improved since using Helen Elliston's tutorials from her colourist special effects books, especially with skin tone. So yeah, I will do one of those in the future if it's definitely something that you all want to see. Somebody asked me the other day if I've done a review of the polychromos or the Prismacolors. Now, you all know, probably, hopefully, that I did a comparison of polychromos versus Prismacolors quite a while ago now, actually, on the blog. And polychromos came out on top for like quality and stuff like that. And this was literally about 2 years ago or something that I did that. And since then I've used the mediums a lot more, and I probably could tweak that now. Need to go back in and sort of add a bit more info or change a few little things that I've noticed. But I haven't actually done a review of the brand, the Prismacolor Premier or the polychromos. It's so weird because they're the colours that I use, the brand that I use most often, and I haven't reviewed them. It's like when I first got the Johanna Basford books, I haven't reviewed Secret Garden or Enchanted Forest. I think it's just because they're just so popular anyway. Excuse me, there's so many videos out there of reviews and things. Don't really need another one. I think that's probably why. Excuse me, I've got quite a bad throat today. I'll tell you why. So me and Shane, my son, we were watching funny fail videos on Instagram last night, and oh my gosh, Max was asleep and my husband was asleep as well, so we were the only ones awake, and they were so funny. Oh my gosh. So you know when you're laughing but you've got to be quiet, so you're sort of holding the laugh in your throat, and it's given me a really bad throat this morning, but it was worth it because it was so funny. Shane was absolutely peeing himself. I mean, it's not just people, but like dogs, cats running and jumping and just like, for instance, there was this cat that was trying to jump from one roof to another, and it was there for ages, just like thinking about it and going for it, but then stopping. And in the end, it went for it, but then at the last minute it thought no, and it just dropped like a sack of potatoes. And I'm not like a sadist or anything, but it was just hilarious. You see these funny animal videos and stuff like that. You know, dogs trying to jump up on the settee, but they just go head over heels, and just hilarious. Also, people trying to skateboard. There was one though where this rather large, heavy-set man trying to skateboard down these steps, and the skateboard just went out from under him, and he ended up, his foot was the other way around, and it was horrendous. Horrendous, but funny at the same time. It was on this like medley of funny fail videos. And you just think, oh, you cringe for them because you can sort of feel it. But yeah, we were just laughing our heads off, but trying to keep it quiet. So that's why I've got the bad throat. So you seem to like, or some of you anyway, seem to like me chatting about the TV and films that I like watching. So this morning I watched the latest episode of Inside Number 9, which was shown last night on BBC Two in the UK, and you've heard me talk about that before. Very, very good, very well written, sort of macabre anthology type series, and it all takes place inside Number 9 somewhere. Last night's one was absolutely brilliant again. It was set and filmed in reverse chronological order. So it started at the end and worked its way back. It was awesome. Also been watching The Penny Dreadful again. I'm on season 3 now, episode 2 or 3. So yeah, enjoying that. But I have seen a spoiler of the death of a main character at the end of this series. So hey ho, you can't really not see spoilers anymore when you're on social media. Also watched a film the other night that I did watch last year, but I rewatched it again because it's been quite a while since I'd seen it, so I was sort of ready to watch it again, called Get Out with, I think Jordan Peele directed it and wrote it, and it's, I don't know if you've seen this, so spoilers ahead if you haven't, but it's about a black man who's dating a white woman, and they're going to meet her parents for the first time. And he's really nervous about it because she hasn't told them that he's black, and, you know, she's just kind of reassuring him, they're not racist at all, it'll be fine, I've not made a point of it, blah, blah, blah. And it just seems like just a normal sort of like film, a normal story, but there is a huge, huge twist. And needless to say, he gets there and they are racist, but not sort of, they don't come out and say, you know, whatever racist things you can think of. They're very sort of accepting and welcoming, but there is like an underlying tone all the way through it, and you think something's not right here, and it definitely isn't. There's a huge twist in there, and there is a reason that he ends up at that house, but I'll try not to, I'm not going to spoil it because I absolutely hate spoilers. Needless to say, stuff goes down. But it's a really good film actually. I recommend it, definitely. It's one of those films where it's not been done before, or, you know, racism and oh sorry, what's the word now? I really don't want to get this wrong because I don't want to offend anybody. Relationships where one person is of another race to another. What do they, I'm so sorry. I will get it in a minute. Multiracial couples? I'm sorry, I don't know. You know what I mean, where one is black and white, or one is, you know, Asian, whatever. Anyway, those kind of films have been done before, but this one has a story, I'm trying not to spoil it, a storyline behind it that hasn't been done before, and it's really, really good. It's not a horror film. It's, I don't even know if it's a thriller either. It's very hard to sort of define. But yeah, it's really good. Watch it if you haven't. Instead of me rambling on, just go and watch it. It is sort of like a modern day slavery tale as well, which might be a spoiler, but hopefully everyone's seen it by now. It's been out like a few years. That's the thing about filming these colour along videos, is when I'm just chatting away, sometimes I might say something that could be seen as offensive, and I am the least offensive person ever, honestly. I champion, you know, everything. I champion gay rights, I champion, you know, against racism, you know, anything like that. And then I'll say something and I'll think, oh my God, is someone going to construe that as offensive? And I really don't mean to be. Like in the last video, I did talk about my weight and the struggles that I have with losing weight. And I worried about that afterwards. I thought, I hope nobody thinks that I'm sort of condemning people who are larger or overweight. I'm really, really not. But I think that's just me, because I have anxiety. I have a lot of thoughts going through my head and a lot of sort of crisis of confidence, and berating myself a lot and thinking, oh God, you shouldn't have said that, you stupid girl. So hopefully I've not offended anybody with anything I've said in my videos, because that certainly wasn't something that I intended to do. It's just also with having the anxious mind, as I've said before, I do lose my words quite a lot. So that's why I'll be thinking of a word and I just can't get it. And it's nothing to do with ignorance. It's just I literally can't get the word that I need. It seems to be since having kids, you know. I think that does something to your brain. Baby brain. They say you get that while you're pregnant, don't they? Baby brain, but I've just carried it on, I have. And I'm just a bit dippy. I think I need to sharpen my pencils, because this isn't looking as crisp as when we very first started. So I'm just going to sharpen those in a minute. And I think we're getting to the last of our lily pad type leaves now, and we're on 46 minutes. So I might be able to get a few, maybe another different type of leaf in this video before I'll make part 5 with the rest of the leaves and try and hurry up a little bit more. Yeah, I think that'll do for now. Just blend that white area out a little bit so it doesn't look so like you've left it there on purpose, if that makes sense. Right, one last lily leaf. Let's sharpen the pencils. So I've had some lovely messages over the past week, as I've said, from a lot of you. People saying that they love listening to the colour alongs as well as watching them. They might not be following the same page that we're doing, but they like listening to me talking, basically, which is a huge compliment. Thank you so much. And I hope that the lack of British poshness in this video is also nice to listen to, because I am trying really hard to keep my normal accent. I sort of felt a little bit conscious when I realised that I'm not putting on the posh voice, it just seems to happen, I don't know why. So I'm trying to be a little bit more relaxed and true to my own voice. In the next video I might just be exactly the same as I usually am, just how I feel today really. I think we have different voices for different people as well, that's weird, isn't it? So you might see your cousin and you might just be like, hey up, how you doing, what's going on? And then you see someone else, you'll be like, hello, yes, how are you? Funny. I'm so weird, I'm sorry if this is like weird conversation. So there we go, that is the end of our lily leaves. hopefully. I'm just looking around in case there's another little one sneaking around somewhere. So we can now have a look at the next type of leaf that we're going to colour. Let's have a look. So we've got these fan type leaves, and there's only 2 of those on here, so why don't we do those on this video? So our fan colours are Peacock Green, Peacock Green, Grass Green, just looking through all these colours, Apple Green, where are you, Apple Green? There you are. Chartreuse and Yellow Chartreuse. So we have all of our colours here. Now, let's get the fan leaf into shot. A bit difficult because it's at the bottom of the page. I don't have an awful lot of room to work on this desk. Okay, so here we have our fan leaf. I've turned the book the other way round. Now we're going to start with our darkest colour, which is our Peacock Green. Keeping it sharp to get right into this spine area because that's where it sort of starts. And hopefully you can see that I'm just flicking upwards, but staying with the shape of the leaf. So we're sort of flicking upwards more in the centre and then tapering it in a round sort of semicircle style. And literally just flicking, that's all I'm doing here, flicking. And once you've got that bottom bit in, we'll go to our next colour, which is Grass Green. Just give it a little sharpen. Oh, I broke it. I actually heard that break then as well. Rushing, that's why. Oh no, I hope I haven't broken it. Let me get my electric one out because that usually seems to sharpen. Even though it takes a lot of the pencil up, it seems to get sharp and it seems to stay as well. Yeah, so that's stuck there. So it's good for that, but it just takes up a lot of the pencil. Luckily though, you can get Prismacolor open stock quite easily, so I'm not too worried about that. So we've got our next colour, which is the Grass Green, and again we're just going over the very last bit of the Peacock Green that we've put down, doing the same pattern, but we're just trying to make that into a blended gradient. Try and keep your flicks quite fluffy at the top because we're going to need a light base to mix our next colour with, which is the Apple Green. So again, we're going over the edge of the Grass Green that we just put down and flicking upwards. And trying to blend with that Grass Green so it doesn't look like a sort of hard transition. So this is really important that you do make this edge very fluffy because the next colour, Chartreuse, doesn't blend brilliantly with this colour. You have to make sure that you've got a really light base that's already down and it will blend a lot better. So, Chartreuse, same thing again, going over the edge of the last colour, and the more that you've done that light base, the easier it's going to be for you to blend. Chartreuse is a very, very light colour. When I say, I mean a bright sort of vivid colour, whereas the Apple Green that we just used is more green than yellow, if that makes sense. So this is more yellow than green, which makes it a bit difficult. But if you do end up with lines in your blends, that's totally fine as well, because A, it doesn't matter, and B, leaves often do have lines, so you're probably making it look more realistic by keeping that sort of liney looking. So we've just got a last area ready for our last colour, which is the yellow chartreuse. And you can just fill in right up to the edge. And that'll blend fine with the chartreuse anyway. So really it's just that transition between the apple green and the chartreuse that you just have to watch out for. So you may have noticed in my videos, something else I'm really conscious of is that I repeat myself a lot. And I hope that's not really annoying for everybody. So once you've got that to the stage where it's blended and you're happy with how it's blended, that's it. I mean, obviously we're not doing the white gel pen until the end, so don't worry about highlights and things like that just yet. Just worry about getting the blends to the point where you are happy with how they transition to one another. So that is basically the fan leaf. Now what you could do, if you wanted to, was take your darkest colour and just extend that up a bit, following the right hand side of each individual fan, if that makes sense. So you could just pull up the colour a little bit on the right hand side of each one, and then of course you can just get your sort of mid-tone, which is the apple green, and just buff that out a little bit so it's not as sharp. It just gives a little bit more definition to the leaf. I don't even really know what kind of leaf this is. If you know, tell me. Okay, so that's the fan leaf basically done. Now we've still got a little bit of time, so why don't we just do the other fan leaf, which is poking out at this edge here, and we don't have as much of it to do this time, so we don't really have to start off with the darkest colour. We can leave the peacock green and just have a touch of the grass green at the bottom, because that's just going to give the impression that it does get darker as it goes down. So just be super careful not to put too much colour down on this. We don't have a lot of room. When you've done that, the next colour, apple green. So you're just constantly thinking about how much space you've got left and how many colours you've got left to fill in. So we know that after this apple green we've got 2 colours left, so as long as you sort of allow enough space for that, you'll be fine. So making sure that we leave a very light whisper of colour to blend our chartreuse into. We're just making life easy for ourselves really by leaving that whisper. great thing about coloured pencils is you can just go in and add more colour, more layers where you want to. With markers, even though that they were my absolute favourite thing to use at the start of colouring, once you've put that colour down you can't do anything with it. Alcohol markers slightly different because you can blend those and you can in a way erase them with your blender pen if you've gone out of the lines or something, but much more versatile medium pencils. So I think that is the fan around about done. And that is going to be it for today's video because we've reached an hour already and we've only done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 leaves in an hour. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm feeling more conscious about this video than all the others and I don't know why, but I hope you have enjoyed it and I haven't rambled on too much, and we shall finish the rest of the leaves, or most of them hopefully, in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to zoom out on this page now so you can see what we've done this time around. And I hope it's looking good for you so far. I've chosen lots of different types of greens. I've got some aqua greens, I've got some really dark mossy greens, and I've got some sort of in-between greens as well. So this is hopefully going to look really nice with a lot of blends of different colours. So yes, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time on Colour with Claire.